One of the biggest struggles I find with aspiring content creators is trying to pick a niche. If you're someone like me who really struggles to be decisive about what they want to do, even if it comes to daily tasks or even picking a career path, I can completely understand how this can be such a frustrating part of starting your content creation journey. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how you can find your perfect niche and how you can narrow down those interests that would be best for your own content creation journey. But for those of you who are new to this channel, hi, my name is Kaylee and I'm a beauty and fashion photographer based near Sydney, Australia. But I'm also a content creator and I started this channel a few years ago to talk about all things business, social media, freelancing and content creation. And as I mentioned, today's video is going to be all about how you can find your perfect niche as a content creator. And hopefully if you're struggling to narrow down your interests, this video will be helpful for you. So finding a niche can be a really difficult thing. Whether you're doing content creation on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, or any other social media sites, you'll find that you'll likely need to narrow down your interests so you can kind of focus on a particular niche. Now, I do want to preface this video by saying though, I personally believe you don't need to just pick one niche. I think you can have several. I think this is really all to do with how much time you personally have though for content creation. And if you do have a lot of other commitments and work commitments going on in your life, this is where it might get tricky to do more than one thing. But I wouldn't exclude it. I would never exclude it because I do actually feel like with the way that things are changing with content creation these days, in my personal opinion, it's actually more preferable to have more than one niche that you work towards. So whether that's creating separate accounts on different social media sites, for example, if you're looking towards Instagram and you want to create more than one account for several niches, I actually think that that's not necessarily a bad thing. But again, I do think you need to have the time for this and be realistic about the kind of output of content that you can create. But we are going to get stuck into this video today and really start talking about how you can start narrowing down your interests and really finding out what the best niche will be for you. So the first point I want to make about this today is to understand your passions and interests. Really have a look at what you are genuinely passionate about. Also what your hobbies and interests are, and what are you naturally good at and enjoy talking about. This is a really important point to remember because I feel that as someone who's done content creation now for like over 10 years on YouTube and Instagram, the one thing I've really found to be important along this kind of journey is really picking something that you feel is not going to become boring very easily. You need to remember that the topics you choose will be talked about consistently, whether that be on your YouTube channel, whether that be on your Instagram account. You will be constantly creating for these content pillars underneath your niche and these specific topics. So really think about what you feel is not going to become boring easily. Because if you plan on doing this for many years to come, you don't want to pick a niche or a topic that you feel is just going to become incredibly boring after a short period of time. I think a lot of people do this, especially on YouTube and on Instagram, with topics that they think they should be choosing for content creation instead of the topics that they really truly are passionate about and could genuinely talk about all day long. So this is definitely one way I would suggest to kind of narrow down a niche. I truly think that this is hands down why so many content creators out there actually give up in the end, and it's because that they lose interest. So really choose something that you can talk about or create content about all day long. The next point is to explore trending topics and niches. So it's really important to analyze current trends on different social media sites, and depending on what social media site you want to be like more of a priority for your content creation is going to depend where you're going to be analyzing. You need to make sure that the niches that you have in mind are going to be feasible. And by feasible, I mean not only in an income sense, so for example, to earn money from, if that is your plan to do so, but also from an audience perspective. Is there enough of an audience out there for this particular niche? I personally feel that there's an audience for everyone out there and for every topic. I genuinely do feel that way. However, it's going to be to varying degrees. So it really depends on what you want to achieve and what you want to get out of your content creation as well. Is it simply for a hobby or is it to create a sustainable business as well? And so these factors will really come into how you end up choosing a niche. Now, a good way to do some research on this is to actually research some popular hashtags and communities. And this will hopefully give you a good overall view of the content that will be created in the types of niches you're interested in. And make sure to also research and identify underserved niches that have potential for growth. There are so many out there, and I think that this is one thing that a lot of creators do tend to miss when they start picking their niches, is that they don't always look at what are some of those niches that are actually on the rise at the moment and have the potential to get a lot bigger. Also kind of look for that too when you're choosing a niche, because it can really make a difference in potentially how quickly your content may take off, or even the sustainability of a long-term content creation business. And the next point is to analyze your target audience. Now, for those of you who watch my channel regularly, you know that I say this all the time. Like every couple of videos, I'm talking about analyzing your target audience. And I say it not only because I'm a broken record, but also because it is really important information. Start to ask yourself some of these questions. Who are you trying to reach with your content? What are their demographics, interests, and needs? And what type of content resonates with them most? All of these questions will really help you to decide on the type of content you want to create for your niche, but also which niche you end up selecting overall. After all, you might already have a specific idea of the type of audience you want to create content for, and that may end up altering the type of niche that you pick in the end. Now for the next part, which is to develop your unique niche. Try to combine your interests and passions with trending topics. This is a really great way to start off with your content creation, especially if you've started to narrow down a niche that you want to try. Also, identify a niche that really helps you to stand out from the crowd. As I mentioned, it's always good to look for those up and coming niches where there may not be a lot of creators just yet within that community, and you can kind of try to hop on board the train as it's going up the mountain, essentially. Now again, this doesn't have to be a single niche. I've spoken about this a lot on my channel before, but I do feel that having several niches these days is actually better for you if you have the time. Not only because it might allow you to do more than one thing and just keep your content creation journey a little bit more interesting. Maybe you can't decide between a few niches and you want to do both, and that's fine. So it kind of creatively fulfills you in that way, but also it can help with sustainability long term with being a content creator. Having different niches and having those different work opportunities with either niche is actually really imperative these days to making sure that you don't put all of your eggs into one basket. Again, it's just going to give you hopefully a little bit more longevity with your career as a content creator, and I think that it's always good to see where that can take you. But again, make sure you have the time for this and be realistic. And then it's time to define your niche's focus, voice, and content style. So again, really looking into different pillars of content that you can utilize underneath each of your niches is a really good way to start with this. Finding some of those topics that you can regularly create content on is going to be really important and imperative for when you are actually planning your content and continuing to kind of bring out your go-to content that people are going to come back and want to watch. It's also going to make things a lot easier for you if you have these content pillars, because your workflow will become a lot easier too. You won't be stuck always thinking of different topics to have to create content about. You'll know immediately that you have those pillars there, and you can go to either one of them and start getting inspired with different topics underneath that you can start creating content for. For example, I actually mention a lot of my content pillars in my videos before I even start the videos. So if you might remember at the beginning of this video, I mentioned how this channel in particular tends to cover social media, business, freelancing, and content creation. Those are really my content pillars, and I tend to stick to them mainly for a lot of my content on this channel. And again, it's good to define those so you can really just see your niche overall a little bit clearer. And the last part is to test and refine your niche. I think it's perfectly acceptable to create a few test posts for your niche, especially in the beginning. And in particular, if you're still not sure exactly what niche you want to pick, you just want to give something a go, I think it's perfectly acceptable to do this. I think it's a great way to start getting yourself or getting a feel for the niche that you might be interested in, and you can start kind of doing a bit of a test run with it, whether that's through Instagram or YouTube or wherever, and really just start posting a little bit of content, see how you go with it, see if you're really losing interest after a short period of time or not, and even start to really analyze how the content is performing. So by performance, I mean engagement, reach, and feedback. Looking at what people are commenting on your videos, whether they're liking your content or saving it for later on platforms like TikTok and Instagram. This is going to give you a good insight into which niche might be working best for you, and you can do this across several accounts if you want to do a trial run or a test run and just see where things take you with either one. This is a really good idea if you're planning on doing more than one niche, or you want to kind of give a couple of niches a try to see about narrowing it down further. This kind of gives you a bit more of a real world experience with several. And then you can adjust your niche based on the data and insights that you've gathered. Having that kind of performance insights is really, really handy, especially if you're in the beginning stages of choosing a niche, because again, you're just giving yourself that trial run. And if you're not feeling the niche that you've picked, you can always adjust and pivot into a different direction. I think that's the beauty of doing a bit more of a trial run with a niche or two, is that it's going to give you a bit more real world experience with it, and you'll actually know whether you're feeling it or not. Well, thank you so much for watching this video today, and if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you do, because I'll be posting a lot more videos like this one. Let me know down in the comments section below what niche you're choosing to work on as a content creator in 2025, and if you're thinking about choosing more than one niche, or if you're struggling to choose a niche. I would love to hear all of your thoughts down down in the comments below. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell to see all the updates from my channel in future. But thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.